Paige, and this is my twin sister. Lauren! New favorite shed. I'm literally obsessed.
Sad that it didn't come out with like a match.
Then just it's a race, and every single person is out in the dark flashlights.
Alrighty, everybody. My name is Kyle, and this is Bows, Bros, and Bucks. Thanks for another podcast. This is number 8, or actually 9. Today we have some awesome mule deer shed hunters, moose shed hunters, and recently whitetail. Do you guys want to explain who you are, and I'll let you talk.
I'm Paige, and this is my twin sister. I'm Larian, and this is...
I'm Brittany.
Awesome. So what are some of the things that you guys are looking forward to shed season for mule deer? I know with the closure it's been kind of tough, but I know you're under heat for poaching in the wrong state. No, I'm just kidding. I saw that and I was dying laughing.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of that people think that we're in Utah shed hunting, and I posted it on Facebook and on TikTok and all the apps, and yeah, we got lots of hate. We got lots of messages, people saying, you're not supposed to shed hunt in Utah, or it's illegal right now. Just a ton of messages and comments, and yeah, people think we're stupid. I mean, if they knew though, they would know if there is whitetail in Utah, there's definitely not that many. So yeah, no.
And the ones that there is, are usually like in the southern portion, like near Vernal, and I'm pretty sure they kill them. Like the Fish and Game kills them on purpose to keep them out.
Yeah, and isn't there been some in like Cache Valley? I think there's been some sightings. Yeah, sightings. Like I work with people that say that they know stories of whitetail being here, but it's rare, and we're not gonna walk out of an area with like 7 or 8 whitetail sheds in Utah. That's not gonna happen. Yeah. So I don't know. People are just assuming.
Yeah, and that's one of the things of social media. There's always people's opinions that you have to deal with. So it sometimes can be a nightmare. But yeah, this is the only whitetail shed that I found this year. It's got like a 21-inch main beam, but it's only a 3-point. It's really hard to find sheds where I live back east, but in Idaho, I crush it. Like I love shed hunting. You guys can't really see it because the camera, but if I switch this, you can see like the piles I got next to me.
Yeah, holy crap! Every shed hunter's got a shed pile.
Oh yeah, that's just my keepers. Last year I got like 126, but I sold probably like 90 of them. But
oh wow,
it's something that I love, and I know it's growing on social media. Like everybody seems to be shed hunting, and it's kind of.
Just since we started, 2018? Yeah, it has grown just since 2018, especially the year of COVID. Everybody was out shed hunting.
Yeah, thanks to the people for social media for kind of growing it, but at the same time, I think it's definitely put a lot more pressure, not just on the animals, but trying to find good ones that aren't like chalks and kind of old ones. It's interesting.
Even the areas we go to, there was hardly anybody, and then now it's just there's vehicles everywhere and people everywhere. So
for the viewers that don't know you, do you want to tell them like not exactly, but where you guys are located in the state?
Yeah. So we're from Utah, and then you're from the
we're both from Cache Valley.
Yeah, and I'm from the Tooele County area, so they're about 2 hours from me. So yep.
Sweet. What got you guys into shed hunting? Have you just been doing it your whole lives, or is that something that just like immediately came up?
So it's in the family. Our family, they love hunting and shed hunting and all of that. And my uncle is actually the one who got us into it. He took us out. Well, he asked us, "Do you guys want to shed hunt?" And I was like, "Sure." I've heard of it before. I didn't really. I don't know. I knew of kind of what it was. I knew that my uncle always had sheds all over his house, but it never interested me. And so one day he took us out, and I remember I was only hiking for maybe 20 minutes, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know if I was going to find a shed or not, but I ended up walking up on a shed, and ever since then, it was so exciting to me, and I got hooked, and ever since then, I just wanted to keep doing it. And she started a year before me, so I didn't even. She was like, "Oh, we should go shed hunting sometime," and I was like, "What's that?" And then I took her out for her very first hike, and the very first time I took her out, she found one. Yeah, I found a shed the very first time. She freaked out. I remember hearing screaming, and she came running up the hill with a little 2-point.
Just a 2-point, but to me, that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, and so it was really exciting, and yeah.
But other than that, like we had my uncle to pretty much just, tell us what shed hunting was and take them out their first time. But then after that, we just started going out. I feel like everything that we have found and everything that we do, we just went out and just learned it for ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we've learned a lot from YouTube, but just from getting out and doing it.
Experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What
then
about you, Brittany?
Yeah, I only started, this is my second year. shed
Yeah.
hunting.
Oh yeah, she's
So I
killing it.
also took her out her very first time, and she found a shed. She found a crazy small shed. She was like, I think this is one. It's a crazy shed. And I was like, holy crap, it's like, I told her, if you can find a shed that's that small, then you can definitely find a big one. So I already knew she was gonna be good at shed hunting, and she found a shed that I had walked past like 7 times through the whole year.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing. So growing up here in New Hampshire, like it's all trees. Like
Yeah.
forest everywhere. There's not much agriculture, and there's like about 6 inches of leaves every year from all the fall foliage and trees. So you have to look through all the branches, and it's different. Like I always make the analogy like sheds in the sage because they all look alike. Like a lot of times you'll see that one piece of sage sticking up and it's all like rotted or white, and you're like, oh, I thought that was a shed, and you like drop elevation for it, and you're like, frick. So it's interesting.
We call those branchlers here.
Branchlers, that's
Branchlers,
a good way to do it.
A lot of branches that look like
Well,
shit.
we don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of trees out in like the West Desert and stuff, so you don't have to really worry about the leaves and stuff.
Yeah.
But here in Cache Valley, it's more.
Oh yeah, there's way more trees here.
Yeah.
There's like no trees in the West
Yeah,
Desert.
all the sheds that I find in Idaho, like all these big mule deer, like the big ones, these are all in like the hills and mountains of like junipers, and basically just going through those and checking topography. Do you guys scout the areas electronically, or do you kind of just get word of mouth where like winter ranges are and then just hike your butts off?
We actually just go, and if we get lucky, we get lucky.
Yeah,
have
we
never-
hardly. I've never scouted.
Yeah, we
I
don't
think-
scout.
I think this year, like, we kind of started looking because
Kind of a little bit.
if we scout, maybe we'll find more. But
We honestly just get lucky. We go out to an area and we
just
hit the
hope-
jackpot.
Yeah, we just
And
hope
then-
they're there.
After that, we'll go like the next year, and then usually they're hot spots at every year. Sometimes we'll go though, and then there's nothing, but then we'll go like the next year, and then
We just literally choose spots that look good to us, and 90% of the time they are good.
yeah, we just make a list and we just go to places. And if we find sheds there, then we know that's a place to go back.
And if we don't find sheds there, which is rare, then we just won't go there again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think picking out spots, like the way that I do it is I go on like Onyx and I like eScout and I drop pins based on topography, because that's something I've had to learn here because you can't visually see as far.
Yeah.
But definitely in Utah, Idaho, New Mexico, places where you can see for miles at some points, you take a spotting scope and you can see sometimes where there's deer, or maybe you've heard that there's deer in the area and you can glass up sheds. Like I've only glassed up probably, I don't have a spotting scope, so all the sheds that I found, so like I think in the last 2 years I found 200 sheds, and I'd say maybe 10 of them were glassed up.
that's how we are. I mean,
I'm just walking up on them.
Yeah, no, we mainly walk up on them.
I find that I don't have very much patience to glass. Like I sit there and it's so hard for me.
Yeah.
I think I've only glassed one.
I think I've been shed hunting since 2018, and I've only glassed like 6 sheds, if that. So.
That to be said, I've learned that you can find a ton more, because I got this private property and I knew that there had been moose there, so that's why I originally was for moose sheds. We only found one moose shed, but then I had my buddy glass with his spotting scope on the side, and then he would call me and say, hey, here's one, go up here, here. I think we ended up with 12 that day within a couple hours of us doing it, and I missed probably 8 of those because I wasn't even doing the side hills. I was just going through the river bottom. So it was interesting, like how many I missed and I wouldn't have seen them. Like they were pretty hidden, but it was cool to see how technology's changed that you can be able to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, we've had it like where I'm glassing and I just can't see a shed because of like how it's placed. So it's like, I mean, if I would have walked right there, I wouldn't have seen it, but I didn't see it through glassing. So
Yep.
So what are your favorite kind of sheds to find? I know everybody has a specific thing, whether it's elk, moose, or deer. What are each of your favorites?
well, Brittany's a moose paddle magnet.
Yeah, probably moose for sure. And then I just like those ones because they're really hard to find. So when you find them, it's like way like cool because a lot of people don't find them. And then probably my second one would be elk sheds.
I would of mine, I would have to say probably just like a good mule deer shed, just because that's what's the easiest for me. What I mostly find. Haven't really found very many elk, or I found like one moose paddle. So I mean whitetail, that's my new favorite, but I think I'd have to go just mule deer.
Yeah, and mine is definitely elk, 100%. I love finding elk sheds.
What are some of the biggest or your favorite? Because I know not everybody's their favorite antlers aren't always their biggest. Like for me, my probably in the top 3 favorite sheds is this 2-point. Literally just because it's got like a 5-inch base, like 17.5-inch, like G2. Like this thing is just as big as my head. And I
Yeah.
love how weird and wonky it is. What are some of your favorite or big sheds if you had to like describe how they look?
Ooh,
Because I know you probably don't have them on you, but
honestly, I'd have to say a big 4-point mule deer shed. That's mine. I have a nice set. It's a 2x4, and it's my pride and joy. I love it. The older he got, he actually used to be a 4x4, but the older he got, he just became a 2x4. But it's an awesome set.
Here, I'm gonna hurry. It's right here. This is my new favorite shed. I'm literally obsessed. So this
oh
is
man,
the
that's a beauty.
this is the whitetail, my first whitetail shed I've ever found.
That's a
And
sick. Holy.
this is probably my favorite shed ever now. Even more than my elk set, which I have a pretty big elk set that I found that's brown, but this is my favorite shed now, for sure.
It is
It's
very,
awesome.
very rare to find a 6-point side. Like that's good
Oh,
genetics.
when we found him, he was covered, so we just thought it was this, and then
Yeah.
she pulls it out, and
Pulled
it's
it out,
huge.
yeah. So yeah, definitely this is my favorite shed now. I love it so much.
And he's got the little kickers off the base, which is absolutely sweet. That's
Yeah,
gnarly.
I freaked out when I found it.
Do you think it's a year or 2 years old?
It's a hard white.
It's a hard white, yeah.
Yep.
Year.
So I want to match this shed up so bad. I want to have the other side to it.
How much did you guys grid search? I know like it was on a private property, so how much could you cover like acreage wise?
I think we only did like where I found this one, like we maybe walked like how long do you think we were doing that for?
Like a couple
I would say that was within an acre that we probably covered.
Yeah, there's like more we could have done, but there's snow on the ground.
No, I bet you money there was some, because like the small whitetail I found was like buried, so in the snow. So
Yeah, so not far, honestly. It was all just really close together. Like we didn't walk that. Actually,
we walked it a lot though. Like we I don't know if we missed much. There was 5 of us and we covered a lot of it.
yeah. Oh, what was I just gonna say? So actually, when we first went out, I found like a tiny little whitetail shed, but my goal there was because this was my dream shed to find, and my goal leaving there, I wanted a big whitetail shed. Like the little one was cool,
So
but
technically this is your second one.
yeah, technically, actually, yeah, this is my second. And so we were done for the day, and we were just like, oh, I want to go back, and we weren't gonna do it, but then we eventually just went back right before we left, and we were walking so fast, just like hoping that I would just find a shed, and there's like this little riverbed, and I was just walking right past it, and I actually walked past it earlier in the day.
Oh, yeah, because
And it was just tucked up. Yeah, literally, my footprints were right by this, but it was white. It blended in, and it was just tucked up under this tree. And so went back for a big whitetail shed, and I succeeded. So
That's what it's
Yeah.
all about. I think some people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be so excited about finding antlers." It's people won't understand when they say it's brown gold or even white gold. Like
yeah,
that's what it's all about, and it's just about like getting past the next set of trees, and you never know what's around the corner. Here,
yeah.
I have a hard time because it's like we don't have a lot of deer per square mile, and it's just like very sad because like sometimes it's hard to find a deer in general, let alone a buck. But in Idaho, I'm like, oh, this is so easy for me. Like I can go out and find a bunch of sheds and feel like around the next corner could be the next biggest shed of my life. And there was a buck that I was following that was about 175 to 180 inch whitetail in Idaho. And someone picked up his sheds while I've been gone back home, but it's pretty crazy. Like to see a photo of how big it was is just it's gnarly. I think he was
Yeah.
a 7x6,
Oh
which is just
wow.
crazy.
Yeah, see, I don't know much about whitetail, so I'm just like I'm starting to learn whitetail, but like even the whitetail shed I found, it's not obviously even close to this, but just to find that, because like it's been my goal. It's actually my goal to find every type of shed. So it's like being able to complete one of my goals and just find a whitetail shed. It was awesome. I freaked out.
No, not everybody cares about score, but did you score that shed by chance?
Honestly, no, I did not. I don't know how. Nope.
You should do it. I use this old like sewing kit uh thing right here, but I also have like a sponsor, so they have like a raculator thing where you basically take this tool and you run it and it adds up the amount of inches, so it makes it a lot more simple because it can be complicated. I just learned off like Google how to score a deer, but it's pretty
Oh yeah.
interesting. Do you
Like
want to
what's
show the
considered,
Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, what's considered like a big whitetail? Like, what is a big score for a whitetail?
It depends on the country for like total with both sides and probably like a 20-inch spread. So that's the difference. Like mule deer, like 26-inch spread is like not like super uncommon. And there's some that have like 40-inch spreads that are like absurd.
Oh,
But for whitetail, like a 22-inch spread's like a very good spread.
oh,
And for entire score, I'd say probably anywhere over 140 for like really hard states, but for Idaho, I'd say like a 160 plus is like a very good buck. And that buck's probably I didn't see his last time. That kind of hurts his score. Sometimes it could be a really good buck, but like the score
yeah.
can like be ruined by that just having like a little point. Like he would score more if you scored him without that. But I'd say that's probably like a 150 gross, just because his tines, he has crazy mass, but
Yeah.
the tines aren't long enough. Like it just takes crazy amount of time length because you could be really skinny. The antler could be really skinny and long and score more
Yeah.
than that, which I would like a deer like that way more. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
dumb. And Idaho bucks are more narrow. Their racks tend to like curve in a lot instead of just going straight out.
Yeah.
But that's just a gnarly typical. Like that's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah.
show that moose paddle that you got there?
Yeah, so
I
this
know
is
you've been holding on to it.
this is probably my like favorite one so far. I found it the other
same
weekend.
trip.
Yeah, same trip. But yeah. But I was sad that I didn't come out with like a match.
Yeah, we tried to match it up, but
Too much snow probably under the snow somewhere.
yeah, we have an idea of where the other sides might be. So next time, hopefully.
How buried was that one?
It was just laying up against a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I got caught on a tree and I was going back to get like unstuck, and then the corner of my eye I saw it, and like I saw how big it was. I thought I was seeing stuff, and then I turned around and I was like, no, I'm not seeing
Oh,
stuff.
good thing you got snagged on a tree.
Yeah, and then so
And that's where I think benefiting people like you when you're finding moose sheds and places like that is slow down and take your time. I think a lot of people they're just like I need to cover as much ground as possible, but when they can hide that easy.
Larry and she just has a goal to get to the top of the mountain. And it's like just stop. There's been so many times I've stopped and literally just a shed is like right behind me and I just didn't see it. So
Yeah, and that's something. Do you guys look pretty far out in front of you, or do you look probably like 10 feet in front of you? How do you guys
I
normally
look
do
pretty
it?
far.
Yeah. Yeah, that can make it difficult. It's like I tend to vary. I'll either look super far or I'll look like right near the 5-foot radius, and that's where I wish I had like a shed dog because I heard they cover like 15 miles if you do 5 or something crazy. So,
like that's how I missed the other moose paddle, the first one I found on the ship. That's how I missed it, is because I was walking and I didn't turn my head.
Yeah.
And then like Ben helped me find it, but yeah.
I'm surprised that Moose doesn't have a front fork. Like he only has one, which is very unique because usually like Shiras Moose will have like a double front, like they'll have this for their front fork.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just
But
one big one.
he just has one big one here and then the rest goes out, so that's kind of interesting. But my favorite thing about Moose for sure is got to be like seeing the grooves in the veins where you can see where they grew in velvet. Is that a hard white too, or is that a 2-year-old?
Oh, that's a brownie.
Yeah. It's
Oh, it's a brown.
Back.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Sick. That's so cool. Their burrs are dope too. I don't know if
Yeah.
his burr is pretty spiked around, but
I think the other one.
The other one was.
Yeah, the other one. This one, not so much.
I can go.
I refuse to sell my big moose sheds. I can't do it. Like someone offered me $2,000 for my set and I just can't do it.
I wouldn't do it either.
This one's pretty like messed.
Yeah.
up,
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh man, that's sick.
This is the other one she found.
yeah, the one before. So I was mad that I didn't find any other side to these ones because I was like, I've
Wait,
always.
can you
found,
put
like-
them next to each other?
Yeah.
That might be the same bull.
No, I was actually thinking, I don't know if this is a brown.
I don't think.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
That
Then
that could be just the front fork is making me think that that is the same bull from a year before.
Yeah,
Oh,
like this
didn't even
one.
think of that.
I'm-
They were right by each other, weren't they?
Well,
They
this
weren't.
one-
I would
far from
I'd
each
bet
other.
money that's the same bull, but it's all about how the pedicles line up like next to each other.
Like this one's more like caved in.
Yeah,
one's
this
more-
one-
Yeah, well, it's hard to vary because like sometimes they can have injuries that can mess their pedicle up just
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
year. So it would be
Yeah.
easier if you had the same side to him.
Yeah.
But with
Hopefully we will.
Moose, it's difficult. Like I'll either find them right by each other or within a couple hundred yards, or I won't find them ever to match them up.
Yeah.
Like I found one here in Cache Valley, and I only found one side too, so that's why I was like hoping to get a set because I already have one side to one. But yeah, hopefully I can find the other sides to these.
Yeah, before they're all chewed up.
Yeah, because this one
This one
already
already
got. This
is.
one's brown and it got chewed up.
All chewed on the
So
points.
Yeah, and moose tend to like break them off too, even if it's not shoot. So it's really hard to find some that aren't absolutely obliterated. So
Yeah,
especially
I found. Oh, sorry.
There you go.
I found a moose paddle a couple of years ago. It was my first one and my only one, but it's just so chewed. So it was a hard white, but
It doesn't even have like there's
It doesn't even have a base. It's pretty sad, but.
yeah, I found one on public land last year. So I found 11 moose sheds last year, but majority of them are small. So I sold probably like 7 of them and kept the 4 biggest because I have a set, and then I have one with a huge front fork that was found. I found it in the river, which was really cool. Like it was in the water.
oh, that's awesome.
And then I found another one, and the neighbor found the other side, but I didn't want to sell it to him, and he didn't want to sell it. So I was like, well, I guess we're keeping each other's singles. If you change your mind, here's my phone number. And he didn't even like shed hunt. It was like in his flower bed.
Oh.
I'm like, bruh. It's sometimes
Wow.
it's easier than others, but I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting. How much hunting have you guys been able to do? Is that something that you do with your families, or are you just shed hunters?
So I'm just a shed hunter. I haven't had the option or opportunity, I guess, to really hunt yet. So
mainly I shot a couple deer, but I mainly stick with the shed hunting. I like it more, and that's what makes me more happy. Just shed hunting pretty much.
Yeah, I just do shed hunting. My family is just like outdoors, like camping and stuff. So shed hunting is the only hunting I'll probably do.
Yeah, you reap the benefits without having to kill an animal. That's also one nice thing for people that they don't really understand is we're not hurting the animals by finding their antlers.
yeah. Well, I'm not a fan of deer meat, so it's like I don't know. It's like if I don't like the meat, it's like why kill it? I know you can like donate and stuff, but I don't know if I ever would.
Yeah, and then you
that's how I feel about it. If you shouldn't be killing something if you're not going to eat it.
yeah,
But-
and then you get those people that so I'll like share these posts on Facebook of like it's a picture of like a bull moose or a deer that's just barely lost an antler, or like people shed hunting with like antlers, and people will like sad react it like we're hurting the animal or killing the animal to get the antlers. Like I've actually had to tell a lot of people that no, we don't kill the animal to get the antlers. Like they naturally drop off. So
Yeah.
a lot of people just do not.
Yeah, people think we kill the deers just to their antlers.
Yeah.
I've gotten
A
so
lot
many
of people,
messages.
like people who come over to our house and see.
Yeah,
our
they'll see
antlers,
like,
they'll
wow,
be
you
like,
guys killed all these,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no.
we don't.
Yeah. So a lot of people just don't understand.
And that's where education comes into play. I think it gives a good experience to be able to educate people on like why this happens, like why they
Yeah.
shed their antlers every year. And it's cool that like it's the fastest growing like organism or bone in the world. Like antlers
Yeah.
are like moose and elk are so heavy. Like I haven't weighed these moose paddles, but they're freaking heavy. And the
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that they grow them back every single year is just incredible.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah. I actually made a TikTok about antlers being like the fastest growing bone there is, and
You had people telling you that's not true.
We were like, wrong. No. Yeah. So a lot of
Yeah,
people-
everybody tries to be a know-it-all.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
So I have 10 minutes left on this Zoom link that it lets me, but I wanted to ask you guys what's the most common terrain that you find your sheds in, just for the viewers so they can be able to find success too, because I think that's very important that this is an educational thing that other people can find success as well.
Desert. Finding
Well-
sheds in the desert.
Yeah, or basically like.
Well, sage. Wherever
Yeah,
there's
like-
sagebrush,
yeah,
that's
sagebrush,
for me.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either like right outside the sagebrush or just sagebrush basins. That is where we have where I have the most luck, I feel like.
Definitely, yeah.
Sagebrush basins.
And then I don't know if this is for everyone, but mainly for us, we have so much more success finding sheds in the flats or
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
foothills.
say.
We don't really find any sheds. A lot of people like,
Think they're in the mountains, you know, like during the
Which
summer
they are,
where they are,
but
but
we find way more on the flats, just walking flats and little foothills and
a lot of people think that, you know, where they migrate lower. So a lot of people, like, I know people who think, why don't you go up in the mountains? It's like, I know they live there during most of the year,
but we find
but
more.
you
that's
can
not where they.
yeah, you
you
can
can-
find sheds there, but we've had like most of our luck in the flats and foothills
Yeah.
and the mountains. So
Always
Yeah,
start in
and
the finish
that's
front.
where I found all mine in Utah is lower elevation. I haven't found them too high, but granted, I haven't shed hunted Utah as much as Idaho, but it's interesting. Like it also varies on the snowfall. Like this year, they're going to be way lower than ever before, I'm
Yep.
sure. Like those
Oh,
city
yeah.
bucks and everything, they're going to be essentially in people's backyards. So
Oh, yeah.
that's going to be a whole different ball game for how many sheds people find, poachers and other things, and hikers messing up everything. We could talk about that for hours. I've already talked about the shed closure on a different podcast, but it's interesting how that changes, and especially with elk. Like in Idaho, we have a huge sage flat near where I go to college, where I'm finishing this semester, and it's just super long, and people hammer it with side by sides and dirt bikes and drive through just finding them and picking them up. Do you guys try to just get away from that pressure, or are you just shed hunting where other people hike and walk in?
I feel like most of the places we go, there's not a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't like to go where there's a lot of people first because, like, I don't know, just be by yourself. It's more fun. to go.
Yeah, I mean, where we
Not
go, there's
people,
hardly
but-
anybody. Like,
Yeah.
But we know, like, popular areas, there might not even be sheds to find because
we
a lot
don't
of
really,
people-
we don't go to the popular areas
because
really.
we know
don't
that
avoid them.
we might not find any because it might be gone. So we just choose places where nobody goes.
Or you go to popular areas, which we've done sometimes, and you find a bunch. So,
That people missed. Yeah.
so I
We
guess
always
it's just,
find their leftovers.
No, we just try to
It's your
avoid it.
preference, what you
Yeah.
wanna do.
So in past years, I know it's going to be different now. When did you usually start to go out?
We shed hunt pretty much
Year
every
round.
yeah every month of the year.
I think last year we found like we started.
we
in,
had so many sheds by now.
January.
January, yeah. I mean, obviously we, try not
Actually, New Year's I went out and found my first shed. New Year's Day.
Like we don't
Wow.
like obviously people might think that's early and we're disturbing wildlife, but we make sure we're not like
Well,
if there's
our-
animals nearby, we go the other way. Like we don't purposely go and scare them.
And honestly, we've hardly ever ran into wildlife.
Yeah,
At least me.
no.
When I go out, like I'm like, where is everything? So
Yeah.
and then we don't usually have a lot of snow either. So
No.
that we have like
Usually they already back up
yeah.
in the mountains.
Yeah, that's something that obviously varies year to year. Like the main place that I shed hunt, there's hundreds of deer that like sit there. So like if I was there, I would spook a ton of them. So
yes.
I just have to wait till probably like February 6th is when I found the 200-inch one. Like that's when I found that one, but I looked for 30 trips and couldn't find the other side. So someone probably found it or poached it. I was on private, but it leads on to public that opens May 1st. So a lot of people kind of skirt the boundaries or say they have permission on the place, or there's a whole lot of things when you're on a side of a mountain like that that's public and private. But on public, May 1st, everybody just runs and it's like a rush. And I kind of hate that because you don't get to enjoy it. Like the people that are gonna find all the sheds, they're not taking videos. They're just absolutely running and gunning to beat
See, that's
everyone
how
like in
Wyoming is.
Jackson.
Yeah, I've gone to some Wyoming openers and it's a race and there's just see where we hunt you never see anybody, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, when I used to do Wyoming, I was just like, this is nuts.
Yeah, there's a couple hunt or shed like opening day like in like April here in the valley that
Like
it's insane. It's a race.
Oh, yeah,
And
Cache
as
Valley,
soon as it hits midnight, then every single person is out in the dark with flashlights. We've done it before. It's insane.
yeah, it's a lot of pressure because it's like I don't know, we wore ourselves out so bad trying to
Because there's people literally running, bolting past you.
and then you can hear people be like, "Oh, I found an elk shed," and you're like, "Oh no!" Like I want to find one, and then you're like rushing, and
it was so stressful.
Jeez, that's insane. And it's a whole different ballgame because here there's like no closure dates anywhere where there's whitetails. Mostly like it's not closed. It's just when you can find them. So you have to like weigh the odds because I've had deer not shed till April. Like I'd say probably 40% of the bucks still here are packing. So it just depends. But then the latest I've seen in like Idaho is like end of March. So it varies. But a majority of them by the beginning of March had already been shed where I shed hunt. So it's just different. Yeah. Well, is there anything you guys would like to say to the viewers before we close?
Just if you're shed hunting, be smart. Care about
Don't shed
wildlife.
hunt in Utah right now.
Yeah. Don't shed hunt in Utah right now until May 1st. I have TikTok too, but she's still the spotlight and she's bigger and
we're tagged in her videos, so if you want to follow us, just go find our ads.
It'll be Paige and Brittany.
Awesome.
You'll see them on there, tagged in videos.
Well, thank you guys so much for shedding light on the subject of antlers. I think it's a beautiful thing that we get to be outside in God's creation and just walk and walk and walk. I know I hate hiking if it's not to a waterfall or shed hunting. So
Oh my gosh.
I just can't. It's like who's a runner, you weirdo? No, I'm just kidding. But
unless you're running to a shed.
yeah, exactly. Unless I'm running to an antler, I don't think I like that. But thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining us on the podcast, and hopefully everybody can go follow your stuff and we can have you guys share this also to your social media.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you
No
for having us.
problem. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
See ya. Alrighty, everybody, that ends another episode on Bows, Bros, and Bucks. Thanks so much for watching.
I put my hand on the Bible, the Lord is my witness, that KB is closer than blood. I got that HGA tatted right next to my heart.